Today, I'm going to prove to you that you can sell anything through a webinar. Hey, I'm Ken. I used to be a homicide detective. I was a cop for over 15 years, and I got sick of it. When I found out I was going to become a dad, I needed to make a change. In the last 15 years, I've started 4 different businesses in 4 different industries, and they've made a lot of money. This channel is dedicated to showing people exactly how to build an 8-figure coaching business. Every single part of it. I love teaching people how to write books, how to get your books traditionally published, how to turn those books into 7-figure coaching businesses, and you're going to find all that information right here. Hey friends, welcome back. Hey, I'm really excited to talk to you about this today. I got into a freaking deep discussion yesterday. It was borderline argument because, look, I've been building a coaching business for almost 18 years now, and I have sold everything through webinars. I mean, think about this. I can do a webinar that I can get 250 people to sign up to attend live, and then I can get 80 of them to show up. I did this just last night. I have a business, a side business, where I teach people how to buy cottages and rent them on Airbnb. I ran a simple Facebook ad for a week. I got 283 people, I think exactly, to register, and about 73 of them showed up on the webinar. It cost me almost $4,000 to do it. So I know this is in advance, but I want you to stick with me on this. 73 of those people signed up, but here's the most important part. 35 people joined my coaching program in that business, $797, do the math. I've been selling on webinars for literally almost 15 years. And, you know, I still do them live. I've got a couple webinars that are completely automated, but I still do them live. People say, well, why would you do them live so long? That sounds painful. Well, think about what happened last night. Do the math. 35 times $797. 90 minutes total from when I sat down to when I was finished. And the webinar presentation was only 60 minutes long. So I'm going to give you the exact number here so I don't, frustrate anybody that's listening to this morning. But if I have 35 sales at $797, that's $27,895 for 60 minutes work live, and 90 minutes includes the prep time to do it. Do that once a week. That's over $100,000 that you're making just from doing a webinar. Now, but what's really interesting though is I've been helping people to build webinar slide decks and succeed doing this, using webinars. And when I first started doing this, I was only helping coaches. But what I realized over time is that you can use a webinar to sell anything. Now, I have the luxury of having been trained by who I believe to be the best webinar presenters in the world. I've given Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I've learned everything he knows about webinars. And I've also given Anthony Morrison $20,000, and I learned everything he knows about webinars. And you know what I added to the equation is I used to be a police detective. I used to be a police interrogator for years. During that time, I studied a very specific science around human dynamics called subconscious response to stimuli. It's really neurolinguistics, but it's very specific neurolinguistics. It's the ability to communicate to somebody, just like I'm doing with you right now, and through the words you're saying and your intonations and how you communicate, getting them to do something. Well, roll that into doing a webinar presentation and you've got a recipe for success. That's really what it comes down to. What I want to do right now is just give you a couple little tips. If you're thinking about doing a webinar presentation, use these tips to make sure that you succeed. There's basically 3 things that you need to do in a webinar if you want to use it to sell. The first thing is the offer, whatever you're selling. You have to make sure that whatever it is you're selling is positioned with a known need in the buyer. So if you want to sell in a webinar and you want to automate it, you have to absolutely know that the thing you want to sell, it's not so much about the thing, but it's how you position it. It's how you talk about it. It's how the marketing, you have to connect that to a known need in your buyer. If you're taking notes, write that one down because that's huge. Once you do that, now you're ready to build your webinar slide deck. Your webinar slide deck is broken down into 3 parts. The first part is where you're going to do 2 things. First of all, you have to legitimize yourself, or you have to give yourself credibility. You have to prove yourself to your audience. Couple ways you can do that. You can tell a very specific story where you broke through an issue in your life. This is specifically for coaches. Or if you're selling a physical product or service, you've got to tell some type of information about how you discovered the need for the product and how this product does a better job than the competitors at fixing it. That's going to add the credibility to you. The next thing you want to do, if you want them to buy in that first part, is you've got to break their current beliefs. So whatever that thing is that you want them to buy, whatever that issue is you're going to help them to fix, if you're a coach, they've already tried to fix it on their own. It's specifically targeting the people. So they've already tried to fix it. And if they haven't been able to fix it, you've got to give them a legitimate reason why it's not their fault. You've got to handle their objections and break their current beliefs. In other words, take the pressure off them. Now, this is all done through the way you communicate and what they see on the slides, to do this at a subconscious level. So they're not even going to realize that it's happening. In fact, if you follow my system, they're actually going to enjoy you doing this to them. Once you do that and you succeed, that'll take you about 20 minutes. The next section is where you present your opportunity. Russell Brunson, who is brilliant, calls it the new vehicle. There's been lots of terms for it, but this is just basically what you're selling. If you're a coach, my specialty is helping coaches. If you're a coach and you're trying to do this, what you want to do, first of all, you've got to create a framework for what you're doing, what you're teaching, the steps that you need to get somebody to the result that you promised in the first part. But you've got to make sure that whatever that framework is, you come up with a freaking super cool, unique name that as soon as they hear it, they're like, what? What is that? They've never heard of it. So they instantly think about what you've done. In the first part, you've eliminated all their objections. So you've basically opened them up to hearing about something new without the skepticism that they would have normally had. And you're doing that through the subconscious triggers that I can teach you. And then the second part, you're going to introduce the new vehicle to them. Now you got 20 minutes to do 3 things in introducing that vehicle. First of all, you want to go and figure out what is their biggest objection that they've had in the past. And you got to eliminate that again. So you got to reiterate their biggest objection and eliminate. Second is you introduce the new vehicle. You talk about its specific benefits. Stay away from tactics and techniques. What's in it for them? And the third thing is how this thing is going to make their life easier. It's so freaking unbelievable. And once you do that, now you're ready to sell your offer. That's phase 3. How you actually sell the product. Now, what you want to do, and this is what I realized the hard way over time. I realized that if somebody's going to sit through a 45-minute presentation, they're going to be really ready to buy. So you have to do a couple things. Number one, you have to introduce a time element. It has to be a limited time. In the notes, there's actually a link to a live workshop, a live webinar that I'm doing next week. I think it's next week, that you can attend, and you're going to see me go through this. Now, I'm going to warn you, I am going to be freaking explaining how to do this. I'm going to be selling an information product that I want you to buy. That it's a couple $100. It's not expensive at all, which is another part of the selling process. The biggest mistake that coaches make when they're trying to sell online courses, products, and services is they price the product or service not for automation, but they price it based on what they think the information is worth individually. That is a recipe for failure. What you want to do is look at the size of your market, figure out what does the market demand, and go about 10 to 15% lower than that. That cottage course I was telling you about, I could easily sell it for thousands. A couple weeks ago, I sold it for $997. When I first launched it, I sold it for $497. Sales were unbelievable, so I increased it to $997. I saw a drastic drop in sales, but I saw a lower percentage of people buying, so I reduced it slightly to $797, and I have better sales than when it was $497. I'm going to teach you how to actually figure out your pricing based on what your market is telling you. That's what you need to do. if you're going to sell your product. Oh yeah, last thing. When you're selling your product, come up with a couple bonuses that make the thing easier. So you're going to be selling them a product to do a specific thing. And the best thing in the world for any coach to do is to build a little online course and then sell that up front and then upsell people into your coaching program who buy the online course, who want more personalized, specific attention from you. But either way, what you want to do when you figure out what you're selling, then you go back and you ask yourself, what would the objections be to people buying this thing? After they've been through the 40 minutes already of the webinar, what would the objections be to buying this thing? Then come up with a couple bonuses that eliminate those objections. And boom, that's a recipe for success. Follow those 3 steps. Each step should take about 20 minutes. You want to listen. When I first started doing webinars, I was literally 90 minutes to 2 hours on a webinar. My best-selling webinars now are done in under 60 minutes, and it's freaking unbelievable. And you literally can sell anything with a webinar if you just follow these 3 steps. Now, in the notes of this show, there is a link that's going to take you to a workshop. It's a live workshop that I'm doing online. You're going to actually see me do the webinar presentation. I am going to try to sell you a little information product for a couple $100 that will give. I'm going to give you the slides if you buy it. Anyway, I want you to watch it. Watch this video again so you can get really clear on what you're going to see. Watch the presentation. And even if you don't want to jump into that coaching program, I don't care. What I really want you to do is watch the presentation so you can learn how to do it yourself. And then if you think the product I'm going to offer you is going to help you to do it faster, and you think I'm the right coach to help you do it, then buy the product. It's really that simple. Anyway, I hope this helped you. If you master webinar selling, you can build a coaching business to $1 million a month if you want to. We'll see you in the workshop.